Hello and welcome to Startup Champions 2.0, the show where you meet and learn from National Startup Award-winning founders. In the episode today, you will meet two startup champions from the environment industry. These are Loham and Revi. We are now in the world of electronic vehicles. A core part of any EV is the battery by itself. Now, if I tell you that to produce a lithium-ion battery, the raw materials, lithium, cobalt, nickel, and graphite, today, India relies almost solely on countries like China, Congo, Chile, and Australia. If we don't become Atmanirbhar or self-dependent in our energy needs, now, how will we become the world-leading economy in the future? To answer this question, let's meet our startup champion. Let's now watch Loham's story.
Loham is a lithium-ion battery recycling and a full-circle second life and first life company. I started advising electronic waste recycling companies, and in course of that, I identified this opportunity and decided to pursue this opportunity as an entrepreneur. The recycling market, just within India, it's a multi-billion-dollar market. Globally, it's in tens of billions of dollars. So it's a very large market. We obviously want to be, one of the topmost players in this market, again, not just within India, but globally. That's the vision. Investors are very, very, excited about this opportunity because I think the global mantra today is one of recycling, lower carbon footprint, ESG, sustainability. And I think most investors are viewing a company like ours from that lens.
बहुत बड़ा डिसीजन था वो उस टाइम पे because he was out of business school, Harvard Business School. He had great opportunities. Money was never a problem at that point. Indian ecosystem was growing. He wanted to explore it and he wanted to see how he can be part of the growth story. He can contribute to the building of the nation.
Rajat, welcome to Startup Champions 2.0.
It's my pleasure, Paritosh. Thank you.
Great to have you. My first question to you, Rajat, is look, this is fantastic, right? What you've created is a phenomenal battery, but what is real is what goes inside it. So all of these materials right now, what are they? How do you produce them? And finally, how is Loham's product so different from what's already available in the market?
Sure, Paritosh. Look, the material that you see out there, whether it's lithium carbonate, cobalt sulfate, graphite, nickel sulfate, these are all the essential building blocks of any cell. That cell goes into making the battery. Where Loham comes into play is we are actually making those materials that you see out there. We make these materials through recycling. Unlike everyone else in the world who produces material by digging up the earth, by digging up oceans, by taking out material from earth and water, and then trying to subject them to a purification process, we actually take back dead batteries from the market. We take back dead lithium-ion batteries from the market, and we subject them to our own set of processes to produce this raw material, which, please remember, is extremely important because India has none of this. India does not have any known reserve of any of the materials that you see out there, and we are trying to build this multi-billion-dollar industry in the electric vehicle ecosystem. We are probably trying to build $100 billion plus industry in the renewable energy ecosystem, but we don't have the basic building block. And that is where Loham comes into play. We are producing this basic building block, but unlike everyone else in the world, we are producing it via recycling.
Phenomenal. So just to simplify this entire thing, what you're fundamentally saying is you would use an already used battery. You will somehow break it all down and then create all of this.
Absolutely.
And then with this, you will actually create or recreate, give it new shape and life and create new batteries.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal. This is in fact fascinating. And all of this is happening right now?
All of this is happening. We actually have a 10,000 ton plant in Greater Noida where we actually do this. And it'll be great for you to come visit the plant and actually see these beautiful chemicals coming out through a recycling process.
Absolutely. I'm sure a lot of you would want to see all of this happen right in front of your eyes. Rajat, the second question, you took a big risk. Look, your background is very interesting, from IIT to Stanford, then to Harvard. You could have just had a great career there, right? Being very, very comfort driven, making a lot more money, but you actually chose back, to come back to India. Did your family sort of oppose it? Was it really tough? Your message right now, or your answer to this question will probably inspire many more people to turn back, look at the country, and see what's happening.
Paritosh, I actually feel I didn't take a risk. I feel like I took what should have been the most logical path, and which was the last 50 years of the world was all about China. The next 50 years of the world is all about India. So I can go to IIT, I can go to Stanford, I can go to Harvard, but I know where the world is moving to, and I think a lot of us believe the next 5 decades truly belong to India, and you want to be at the point of action.
Absolutely.
And that is what India provided.
Absolutely interesting. But was it extremely tough for you? Were you able to raise money at the right point of time? Because I'm sure putting up such a massive factory, my question hence to you is, how did you fund it on day one? I'm sure it wouldn't have been very, very easy for you as well.
Look, certainly funding is never an easy game. And on day one, I did bootstrap myself. I had the luxury of bootstrapping myself because I had worked for about 20 odd years in the industry, so I had some savings through which I could. But then very quickly, friends and family and the angel network ecosystem came into play. India has a very thriving angel ecosystem. And I think once you have an idea which can scale, and you have demonstrated that you have the ability to scale it, and you've demonstrated the proof of concept in a viable manner, funding is not an issue in today's world. Capital is available in very large numbers, where you just have to have the right idea and the right vision.
Interesting. From idea to vision, let's now talk numbers. How many batteries do you recycle every month, and what will it take for you to cater to increasing demand?
Sure. We are recycling, if you talk about number of batteries, we are recycling millions of batteries. Now, you may be surprised, where are these batteries coming from? Right now, the big source of these batteries are your mobile phones, your laptops. They are no different from your electric vehicle battery. It's exactly the same set of powders that go into your mobile phone and laptop that goes into powering, let's say, a Tesla, which rides at 150 miles per hour. It's exactly the same set of batteries. It's just that the form factor is slightly different, the scale is slightly different, naturally, but there's no real difference. In India, as you can imagine, we love to buy a new mobile phone, some of us every 6 months. So you can imagine the amount of waste available in the country, which we can easily use to recycle and create the fundamental raw material.
So what you're essentially saying is you're taking electronic waste and you're turning it into this.
We are turning into this.
So, what's your business model? How do you make money?
Very simple model. We collect these dead batteries, we process them, and we sell the chemicals that you see out here. These chemicals get sold linked to London Metal Exchange, linked to commodities which are priced in a global manner. And so it's a fairly clean, fairly simple business model. And for me, that was one very important thing. I want to keep my business model very simple. I don't want to complicate it. I should be able to tell you my business model in 5 seconds, and hopefully I've been able to communicate that.
Absolutely, totally. In fact, I'm very, very sure everyone watching this episode would be very, very clear of what essentially are you doing. But one important piece of distinction. So while this is your real essential product, this is what you're selling, do you also sell batteries as a product as well?
We do. That's a relatively smaller part of the business, but ultimately, again, the real value in that battery comes from the chemicals that we produce.
Interesting. Coming back to funding, Rajat, have you also raised any external capital?
Yes, we have. We have raised external capital from a bunch of private equity investors. Baring Private Equity India happens to be our primary institutional investor.
Very interesting. And now that you've, of course, raised external capital, I'm sure your goals, your growth metrics would have changed. So what are you sort of now looking at from the next 1 year perspective?
See, our goals are very clear. We aspire to be the best and the biggest in this business. We want to be the #1 supplier of battery raw materials to the global ecosystem. I fundamentally believe this is India's new sunrise sector. You can actually take this as a new opportunity. It's a new software industry. It's a new pharmaceutical industry. This is the industry that can create a lot of wealth, a lot of jobs, a lot of opportunities, and most importantly, a lot of entrepreneurs in the country.
I am sure.
So our immediate goal, of course, is to continue scaling what we are doing. Today, we already are recycling about 10,000 tons of material. Our goal is to set up a 50,000 ton plant, which is what we are in the process of setting up.
Does this in any way also contribute to the SDG goals that have actually been set by United Nations, right? So are you also reducing down carbon emissions because you're taking in so much of electronic waste and converting it into something way more useful?
You know, two big things here. When you take out this raw material from a battery pack itself, when you recycle a battery and take out the raw material, you actually save 50% more carbon dioxide with primary traditional mining. 2, you save over 1,000 liters of water per kilogram of lithium that you produce through this material. So both at a CO2 level and at a water level, you're doing a great justice to the environment, not to say you're actually creating a sustainable ecosystem.
Fantastic. My last question to you, Rajat, is, look, millions of Indians are watching you right now on this very show. What's your message to all of them?
Very simple, have a purpose in life, be consumed by that purpose, follow your heart, do that thing to the hilt, wealth, success, legacy, everything will follow.
You know, the one thing that I really, really like about, after all of the other things about you, is your clarity of thought. On that note, the 2 top lessons of this session are: number 1, battery production and recycling is a massive opportunity in India. Number 2, when you solve the right problem that has massive upcoming demand, as Rajat actually said, in the future, you will find the right backers always for yourself. Rajat, brilliant answers, in fact, that you've given to all of the questions that I've asked you. It's now time to take an audience question. Please come on screen and ask your question.
Who all are your biggest competitors and how do you position yourself differently from them?
Thank you. That's a great question. Our biggest competitors are companies such as Redwood Materials in the US, Northvolt in Europe, and GM in China. We track ourselves and we measure ourselves against where we are with respect to them. The big difference between them and us is a suite of solutions that we offer. We actually offer what we call a full-purpose recycling solution, which includes the 4 R's of recycling: refurbishing, repurposing, reusing, and recycling, which is not something that our competitors offer, and that is where we hold a unique position in the market.
On that note, it's now time for a break. Up next, you will meet our second startup champion. Don't go anywhere. I'll meet you on the other side. Welcome back to Startup Champions 2.0. How do you make the most of water that you have available with you? Water and biomethane are like raw materials for so many industries. Now that we cannot do without them, what do we do to recycle the water that we have? And how do we do it at an affordable cost? Because only then a solution like this can scale. This is not an easy problem to solve at all. But our startup champion has done it. Let's now see the Revi story.
I am an hungry scientist who wanted to isolate a lot of microorganisms. I wanted to understand these fellow living organisms provided by nature to us. I was motivated by my son and supported by my husband to start this journey of converting from scientist to entrepreneur. From BIRAC, there was a big grant, so I wrote that application as a woman scientist. They gave me those funding, and Savli Biotech Incubator has provided me an incubation space. Now we are working with various other industry to come up with products which are very specific for treating their effluents. At present, our product can treat any organic material. My aim is to take this company to a global level.
So Dr. Vanita and Rajneesh, welcome to Startup Champions 2.0.
Thank you very much.
My first question to the both of you is, look, what you've created as Revi is phenomenal. Our audience just don't understand what exactly are these granules. Just tell us more about it. I do understand the usage that they have is just phenomenal and what they do is great. Tell us more about all of it.
So these are 650 different microbes packed in one granule. So these has been isolated from Mother Nature, from various effluents, sewage as well as the soil. So what I tried to do is I wanted to convert the waste into energy. That means I wanted to manage the waste in such a way that is useful for us itself. So I am trying to solve the problem of waste management to convert it into energy which is required. And thereby we will be cleaning our wastewater also, because these pollutants are taken care of and then we can reuse the water. So I wanted to use the water which is wasted, we are saying, and 60% of our sewage is not treated.
Right.
So that's why I wanted to do this particular product.
And all of these microorganisms inside it, is this living?
Yes, all of them are living. So they grow within the reactor. So we provide it in the reactors. There are containers, and we put these reactor inside that, like the filters.
Sure.
So these are living organisms like a filter. They are packed into a column, and when we are passing water, they come into contact with these microbes, and these microbes eat the pollutant in the water, and then water comes out as clean water. And when we are taking a solid material, we make it a slurry, and that solid is decomposed into methane.
Wow. So when you say they eat the waste material, so they're literally eating waste.
Yeah, they're literally eating waste, yes.
It's a biochemical reaction which is happening.
This is phenomenal.
So they take out the pollutant and give us the
So what we are really trying to say here is every kind of water that is wasted right now, whether industrial or any other source, can now be treated.
Yeah, any waste water which is containing an organic component as pollutant can be treated with this particular granules. But there are a lot of wastewater like dye or chemical industry effluents which contain a lot of other pollutants. For that, we are developing our further products from using these microorganisms. There are different sets of microorganisms required, so we are doing those formulations also.
Fantastic. So my second question to the both of you is, how did you fundamentally find this problem? How did it occur to you?
I started working on to my allergy problem. Actually, as a biotechnologist, everybody is fascinated with medical biotechnology.
Sure.
So I started working with developing a kit for allergens, and I visited tuberculosis, this Patel Chess Institute and National Communicable Disease Institute, and I got the blood samples. When I visited the patients back in '93, so this all started in '93.
Okay.
So I saw the living condition they are living in. That was pathetic. So I thought that sanitation is one of the issue which I should solve as biotechnologist. So I started reading about it, and I switched my PhD topic from allergy to waste management, and from there the story started, and still the sanitation is one of the issue globally.
Sure.
So we need water and sanitation, and that's how I am progressing towards this side.
Interesting. Especially for you, Dr. Vanitha, right? So you come from a middle class family, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure creating this entire breakthrough of being a biotechnologist and then furthermore starting your own company would not be an easy task at all, right? How did you actually create this breakthrough? I'm sure it will be so much more inspirational for so many of our viewers today.
So as girls in India, we were not supposed to go for a higher education.
Sure.
So back in when I was in primary school, I had this issue of some health issues. So it all related with the health, and I used to ask a lot of questions to my father. So he told me कि आपको जो भी questions है, you can ask your science teacher. So that's how my interest in science has developed, and nobody in my family was from science. But that curiosity has started, and I wanted to be a doctor at my schooling time, but I could not able to crack that medical entrance. Then my father told me what best you can do. So at that point of time, biotechnology has just started.
Right.
So I started my biotechnology, but only my father told me you have to get scholarship to get going. So I had started from my school time with the scholarships till my PhD. So I am a CSIR fellow. So that's how.
Fantastic. So what's your business model? How do you make money?
selling these cultures to the wastewater treatment units. On the government side, the users are basically municipal corporations who has the mandate to treat the sewage of the country. And in the private side, it's industries, which generates lots of effluents of various types. So they have ETP plants, effluent treatment plants, and these microbes support their effluent treatment process. And these projects actually are the supplement of the main culture, because these are bacteria, as we said, that is live bacteria. So they also need nutrition like human beings, vitamins, minerals.
Okay.
So these formulations also we have created so that we keep these microbes healthy within those reactors also. So the my main source of money is to sell the biocultures and the nutritional formulations to these clients.
Tell me something, once, let's say your granules that you created, once they clean the water, can that water then be reused again by the same industry?
It is not directly reusable.
Got it.
So there is still some material. So the tertiary treatment needs to be done.
Got it.
So, but if you are using sewage, then sewage can be directly used for the agricultural purposes. It will be having a nutritional value. So if it is in a biogas plant where we are converting, we are listening about a lot of project in Satat scheme. So in that case, that will be directly a fertilizer. So with these granules, we are trying to run these plants 365 days, 24/7. So my main motive, and now I call myself doctors of microbes, because they also telling us, because they cannot communicate. So I need to understand their language, and then I wanted to run these plants, making them healthy with all these formulations we have, and with the app, we provide the client with an app. And nowadays these things are possible. So from there I get the data, and I try to understand what these microbes are communicating to me. So that's how we adjusted the dosage and all.
Interesting. My last question is, look, millions of Indians are watching you right now on this very show. What's your message to all of them?
I mean, definitely, as a startup, throughout our journey, we have seen that things are possible if we really make the first stride towards that. There are challenges, there are problems, but then there are opportunities and rewards also. And that is our message to every budding entrepreneur who is watching this show, that if you have observed any problem, look into the reasons behind it and make a resolution to solve that problem, and you will make a good business out of it.
What message do you have, Dr. Vanitha?
So I just wanted to say, most of the girls who are watching, or the young ladies who are watching, they should keep going on with their dreams, what they have, their passion. They keep on doing that. They will get some chance somewhere to do that.
Correct.
But they have to sustain their dream. That is what I wanted to say.
Sustain your dream. That's the most important part. The top 2 lessons of the session are: number 1, startups are not just only about internet. If you are a biotechnologist, you can still build a billion-dollar business as well. Number 2, water waste treatment is a massive opportunity in India. As our population grows, it will only become a lot larger. Go for greatness. You have just one life to live. So Dr. Vanitha and Rajneesh, is now time for the audience's questions. Are you ready for it?
Yeah, sure.
The culture that you create, do the organism need any special condition to stay alive in water?
So organisms are, since they are living organisms, they need a perfect pH, they need a perfect temperature, they need a lot of nutrients, not only carbohydrates or carbon, they need nitrogen, they need phosphorus, they need minerals, vitamins, and that's what are packed in these products we have as nutritional media. And these bacteria which we have isolated, we have particularly isolated in the range of temperature which is there in the temperate condition, that is 25 degrees to 40 degrees.
So general
they can
temperature in our country.
So that's what I have. So these are called as mesophiles. So they are working in this temperature range, and they work in a particular range of pH also. So for methanogens, they have a very strict pH, like we have our blood pH very strict. Similarly, they have very strict condition, and that needs to be maintained while putting waste into it. So that's where we come as doctors to solve this particular issue.
And tell me something, so you said that all of these nutrients, so how it was really occurring to me was, just like we need food, these organisms need food as well. And that's the food?
The food is waste, which we have.
Got it.
That organic material out there as pollutant is the main food, main carbon source.
Right.
But we have to supplement them with other things to make them healthy. Like we eat junk food.
Correct.
It is not the good food for us.
Correct.
To do all the optimum work. Same way, we want the optimum conversion to methane. That's why we keep them healthy.
So Dr. Vinita and Rajneesh, thank you so much for all your answers and best of luck to Ravi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. On that note, it's time for a very short and a quick break. After the break, you will see and learn from step number 15 of how to start a startup. Be right back with me. Welcome back to Startup Champions 2.0. It's now time to take the next step in learning and earning with how to start a startup. Learning leads to earning, you all know this. Let's now continue our journey of learning with step number 15 of how to start a startup. Learn how to sell. This is the step for you. Number 1, launch your sales kit on video channels. Leverage video as your sales tool. Step number 2, use sales training as a tool. Train your partners, train your distributors, your employees and customers. When you give them sales training, literally every person in your company and outside in the ecosystem will become your mouthpiece. Step number 3, hire a sales leader. It is extremely important for you as a startup founder to understand that you cannot be doing everything in life. That doesn't solve the purpose. Your startup will grow when you will actually hire a sales leader, somebody who is only focused and responsible to grow sales in your company. As you take all of these 3 important steps that I've just given to you in step number 15 of how to start a startup, your company will grow at a much faster pace. And of course, you're free to share your feedback with us. What did you learn from today's episode? Share your feedback with us. Make your videos and post them on social media with hashtag StartupChampions2. In the next episode, you will meet startup champions from Industry 4.0. Thank you for watching Startup Champions 2.0. Jai Hind.
Why don't we deliver fuel at a customer's doorstep, or someone can just order and we go and deliver?
While we started business, we first focused on what we had as an important resource. So it was more important to finding right business model, and then it was the funds part.
The goal was to build something which could help people out at sea and saving people lives out at sea, at the same time reducing the capex and opex by more than 45%.